This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith, and in your headlines today, government puts hold on a $20 million World Bank loan to strengthen scrutiny of oil sector, wants to set new agenda for funds. IMF advises against development of national oil company, tells Guyana to improve oil contract terms for higher profit instead. And GTE Environment Study says gas-related explosions can have adverse effects on human health. Poor governance and lack of vision caused Trinidad and Tobago gas sector to lose millions in US dollars in taxes, according to an expert. Man admits to murdering Soesdijk remigrant and former government engineer accused of contract breach and lying to the PAC. Stay tuned to get the full details of these stories and more.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
And now for the news in detail. Since the PPPC government has not requested any disbursements from a $20 million loan Guyana took 3 years ago to help strengthen the nation's capacity to manage the oil sector effectively, the World Bank said it has been forced to downgrade the country's performance score on the loan. The latest implementation status and results report recall that the money was approved on March 29, 2019 for the Guyana Petroleum Resources Governance and Management Project. The program's objective is to ensure the enhancement of legal and institutional frameworks and the strengthening of the capacity of key institutions to manage the oil and gas sector. The financing agreement in the amount of $20 million was signed and declared effective on April 11, 2019 under the David Granger administration. The financial institution said the project's overall implementation has been downgraded to moderately unsatisfactory, with around 24% of the total credit disbursed and no disbursement requests received by the bank since October of 2020. And I'll tell you, the International Monetary Fund has advised Guyana to secure a higher share of profit oil through its model production sharing agreement, rather than actively participating in the task of petroleum development through a national oil company. In one of the institution's 2019 documents providing technical support to the government, the fund concluded that there is no strong business case to show that Guyana would receive more value from its oil endowments if it were to participate as a partner via a national oil company in the development of the oil blocks. The financial institution explained that while there are many oil-producing countries that have state participation in petroleum operations, that route may not be one that Guyana should take. State participation in petroleum operations could be an instrument for governments to add to their share of profit within the upside of the project. But this participation would also mean that Guyana would be taking on additional risks by wanting to develop oil blocks. And in other news, gas releases from the planned gas-to-energy project at Wales can result in explosions which can pose a grave risk to human and environmental health. This is according to the environmental impact assessment for the project, which was conducted by Environmental Resources Management. In the assessment document prepared for ESSO, which will be developing the project, it was explained that a loss of integrity of the offshore pipeline resulting in a natural gas release can be caused due to corrosion, objects striking the pipeline, and a buildup of stress in the pipe wall, causing buckling. The assessment goes on to say that if an unplanned release of gas from damaged subsea pipeline occurs, the released gas will generate a gas plume that rises from the sea floor to the sea surface. And now let's tell you, for the last decade, energy strategist and local content expert Anthony Paul has observed that Trinidad and Tobago's oil and gas sector has been nothing but a slow train wreck. In a virtual discussion this year with his fellow Trinidadians on the depressing state of the economy, Paul said in no uncertain terms that the country's gas sector has been doing dramatically bad for a long time. Paul said he would attribute the industry's declining health to a lack of adherence to the principles of transparency and accountability, two key elements of any robust governance framework. The Trinidadian also bemoaned the fact that Trinidad's energy ministry is governing the sector with outdated laws and regulations. Paul was keen to know that in the absence of updated laws, it is not only the area of concern. And moving on, 25-year-old Kino Corbin on Monday admitted to the murder of a remigrant agriculturist Anthony Brady, whose lifeless body was found in his Hillfoot Suzdike residence in 2016. Corbin was arraigned before Justice Joanne Barlow in the Demerara High Court. He is being represented by attorney-at-law Ravindra Mohabir. Corbin pleaded guilty to the charge, which stated that between March 12th and March 14th in 2016, he murdered Brady during the course of a robbery. Corbin's sentencing was deferred to May 9th at 13 hours 15. According to reports, between the date mentioned in the charge, Brady was murdered during a robbery, and the 60-year-old was found in the lower flat of his two-story house with multiple injuries to his head. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will resume after the break.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help. Check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend. Send credit. Check the Georgetown and Burpees Bridge schedules. Activate a roaming plan. Play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Danny Ramdolar, a former government engineer who is attached to the Ministry of Home Affairs, is expected to face a criminal investigation after he was accused of lying to the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee during a sitting on Monday. According to the Auditor General's report, a sample of 9 projects with contract sums totaling $38.5 million for maintenance works were selected for physical verification. It was noted that a contract for the renovation of a new self-acting sluice at Western Section Lusignan was awarded to the sum of $4.6 million by the Ministerial Tender Board to the lowest evaluated of 16 bidders. The engineer's estimate was $5.7 million. The contract was signed on December 5, 2018. As of December 2018, amounts totaling $4.5 million were paid to the contractor. It was discovered that the engineer certified that the works were completed since December 16, 2018. However, the auditor's physical verification on May 3, 2019 revealed that the contractor was still on-site effecting works to the structure. Both sides of the PSC agreed that the engineer should be criminally investigated for the alleged perjury committed before the Parliamentary Committee. And moving on, in 2017, a contract was awarded by the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board via sole sourcing of $307.4 million for the procurement of one multi-purpose fire rescue boat to the Guyana Fire Service. Based on the audit report, the contract was signed on August 4, 2017. However, based on the record of the audit report, the boat was delivered to Guyana's shore 2 years after the contract was signed. The issue came up before the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee on Monday, when officials of the Home Affairs Ministry presented. There was notably no representative of the Guyana Fire Service to respond to some of the questions raised. And in other news, the suspect who was detained for the alleged killing of Sherwin Smith, the man who was stabbed in front of police on Easter Monday at the Mabaruma settlement ground, was on Friday charged for the offense, making his first court appearance in the Mabaruma Magistrates Court before Magistrate Sunil Scares was 48-year-old Christopher Van Newton, a mason of Mabaruma. Van Newton was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which alleges that on April 18th, at the Mabaruma settlement ground, he murdered 44-year-old Smith of Kamaka waterfront. He was remanded to prison by Magistrate Skeers, who then adjourned the matter to May 17th. It was reported that Smith and Mason knew each other well, and it is believed that a grievance between the two led to the stabbing. In other news, post-mortem examinations conducted on the bodies of the two friends who were found dead in a car at the Marriott Hotel parking lot on Saturday have failed to uncover what really caused the men's death. The examinations were conducted on the remains of 34-year-old Justin Teixeira and 25-year-old Paishnarayan Hans Raj, also known as Richie, a local singer of Hague Bakdam. According to police, stomach contents were removed from both bodies and handed over to investigators, which will be sent overseas for testing. The bodies, however, have been handed over to the respective relatives for burial. The men's lifeless bodies were discovered around just after midnight on Saturday morning in a car. And to wrap things up, let's tell you that former journalist 25-year-old Zenille Williams of Lamaha Gardens, who was caught last Friday with a quantity of cocaine strapped to her body and also in her luggage, accepted culpability on Monday when she appeared in court and her sentencing was deferred. Meanwhile, her alleged accomplices, former Kanu officer 33-year-old Anil Suku of Kurukuru Linden Susdike Highway and GRA officer 27-year-old Shamika Caesar of Durban Street Workmanville Georgetown denied the charge that was read to them, and they were both placed on $750,000 bail. Williams pleaded guilty to the charge, which stated that at the Chedijagan International Airport she had in her possession 9.6 kilograms of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. And now we move on to the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. A massive investment is to be made this year through the Gas to Energy project, but the feasibility of this venture still remains questionable. One aspect of the project, which is the laying of the pipeline offshore and onshore to transport the gas to Wales and West Bank of Demerara, will cost $1.3 billion. This sum is just a few thousand short of what our country's total external debt stood at in 2020. Nevertheless, our government is convinced that this venture will lend to the greater development of Guyana. Last week, the environmental impact assessment for the Gas to Energy project was published, citing the harmful effects the project can have. We only hope that our farmers, who will not be able to provide for their families as a result of this mega venture, will somehow manage to feed their families. Our leaders seem hell-bent on satisfying their own needs, even at the risk of hurting the very people who elected them to govern. Wake up, Guyanese. Start fighting for your right to a better future today. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.